Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining our panel about UK law schools. My name is Elizabeth. I'm a first year geography student at the London School of Economics, and I'm also a Millie panel moderator. So I'm really excited to be moderating this panel today. For those of you who are tuning in to Millie for the first time, Millie is a company that is dedicated to building a global community for international students. And to that end, we host these panels and webinars every weekend. So if you're interested in our future events, you can follow us on Instagram at Millie_group for updates. So a quick overview of how today's panel is going to look. We have some pre-prepared questions that we're going to ask, which will be answered by the panelists. And after that, we'll open it to the floor to any viewers to answer any questions sent throughout the panel. So today we have 4 amazing panelists, and we're really excited to hear about their experiences, and we'll just get started now. So as a quick introduction, I would like each panelist to please introduce themselves. Please tell us your name, the city you're currently in, and also the city you're from, your school and your degree, and one fun fact about yourself. Elise, please start us off.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Elise. I'm originally from Sydney, but I'm currently studying law in London. I went to the Australian International School in Singapore, and now I'm at the LSE doing a LLB Bachelor of Laws degree. And if I had one fun fact about myself, I would actually say it's that I write music on the side and publish it to YouTube once a week.
Hi, everyone. I'm Aryan, and I'm currently living in Birmingham, but I do travel often to London from work because I did law at University of Bristol, after which I got into the graduate program at HSBC, where I'm currently working at. So it's usually I live in Birmingham now, and I go to the Birmingham office. I'm working with the regulatory standards team within HSBC, which has been really interesting. Originally, I'm from India, so I'm an international student in the UK. I went to La Martini for Boys in Kolkata, which is a state in the east of India. And one fun fact about myself, I used to be a cricketer back in India. But yes, I have stopped for a while, but I used to be. And I'm planning again to start now. So, yeah.
Yeah, hello guys, my name is Leo Selim Soykili, and I'm actually dual citizen, but I grew up mostly in Turkey, despite being born in Finland, and I graduated from Haydarpaşa High School in Istanbul, and I did the IB. It's another high school, which is slightly complicated, but I'm currently at King's doing law as a first year. And one fun fact about myself is I did quite a lot of MUNs, but I stopped doing them. So it was kind of good experience for me to, prepare myself for law. So that's, yeah.
Yep. Hi, I'm Jaime. I'm originally from the Philippines, but I moved to Hong Kong when I was 13, and that's where I went to high school. So I went to Hong Kong International School, graduated from there, and now I currently study law, LLB, at Durham University, and I'm in my 3rd and final year. And I am looking to, well, most definitely doing a postgrad with the University of Law once I graduate. So that should be very fun. And one fun fact about me is that I do martial arts in my spare time. So
Great, thanks guys. Lovely fun facts. Yeah, I think we'll get started with like the education segment. So I think a really nice way to segue into this is what subjects did you take in high school? For example, A-level subject combinations or IB combinations, or if you did like a different system or whatever, like share what you did. Elise, please.
Yeah, so I did the IB diploma program. So my standard level subjects were maths before it split off into AA and AI, chemistry and Chinese B. Then my higher level subjects were English A literature, music, and economics. And I did my extended essay, something called the World Studies extended essay, which I know people don't necessarily always know about. Basically, that's something you can do to write an interdisciplinary essay focusing on one of the key themes listed by the IB. So I did mine as a joint global politics and economics essay under the economic and environmental sustainability topic, particularly looking at World Bank aid in Haiti.
That's nice to hear, Elise. For me, I did the Indian school certificate examinations back in India. So our subject, so I took humanities. So within humanities, I took economics, I took politics, sociology, English, and a vernacular, which is Hindi. But you could always take a lot of combinations when you did humanities. So there was history as well, which I didn't take. But yeah, those were my subjects. And yeah, that's pretty much it, what I did for high school.
Yeah. So I did the IB program as well, IB diploma program, and my high levels were history, English B, and mathematics AA, which was compulsory, a bit, hurting towards the overall grade, but I'm glad we managed it. So yeah, I mean, especially history. I mean, I chose it specifically because it is as a common law system. I was set out and going to the UK, and for the study of common law, history is really invaluable because you have precedent, basically case law. Like the majority, the syllabus is case law. So yeah, it was really great help in preparing me for both writing my personal statement as well as preparing myself for study, and I did my extended essay on history as well.
Yeah, that's really great. For me, I'm going to be a bit different from everyone else because my high school operated with a more Americanized education system. So I didn't actually take any A levels or IBs, but I took the US equivalent, which is APs, so advanced placement, through College Board, which, especially during COVID years, was quite horrific during the late night exams. But besides the point, a lot of my subjects were mainly revolved around humanities. I took a couple of ones, like there was AP Human Geography in my sophomore year, and then in my junior year, I did AP English Language and Composition, which helped a lot in terms of developing my ability to write and build arguments. And I also did AP Psychology, AP Government, AP Macro and Microeconomics, just a whole bunch of other ones. And I also did AP Statistics, which I later dropped out of because I realized that I am far more of a humanities student than I am a STEM one. So, but yeah.
Great, thanks guys. Good to hear like such a diverse range of subjects that you guys did. Okay, I think a fitting next question would be, when did you decide that you wanted to do law, and why you decided you wanted to do law? So Elise, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna echo Jaime here a little bit and say part of it was realizing I'm way more humanities than STEM inclined. For me though, it was really interesting because throughout high school I was a massive MUN nerd and I was a massive technology nerd. And so for me, I was constantly weighing up, do I go into law or do I go into economics? Because I know that both of those are really key driving factors that shape the world in a business sense, politically, in terms of regulation, that literally affects how any industry actually develops. So it was kind of this toss up in my head the entire time. And the thing that actually sold me was that I did a MUN conference where instead of chairing or being a regular delegate, it was actually a mock ICJ. It was a Russia versus Ukraine case, and I ended up being the advocate for Russia in that conference. And I loved it. And I think it really kind of made me think, oh, wow, there's actually a lot more to law than tax evasion and criminal law, and realized it served my interest really well, plus my aptitude. So that's why I went for it in the end.
Oh, that's great to hear, Elise. I think I'll give a bit less technical answer. So I didn't do any one back at school because hugely involved in sports. So I didn't have the time to manage it between my studies and that. But why I chose to do law is a really interesting question because I get it asked a lot of times, and sometimes I'm just like, I like reading, I like speaking really, I like just I'm a very confident person when it comes to speaking publicly. I have debated at university as well back at school. I was really good at debating. And when there's everything ticking the box to take those skills forward. And the thing we're doing in LLB is it's a general course as well. You get to do those specific areas of law within your degree. You get to do international law, criminal law, and then you make your mind up where you want to head on. So if for example, if you're doing another degree, not to say bad things, but you're sort of inclined to go into that direction and that in particular. But when you're doing law, you have so many different areas you can tap into, whether it be banking law, whether it be criminal law, international law. So there's so much to do, and there's so much out there, so many opportunities. And the thing about being a lawyer and doing law is you're looking at so many different clients from so many different industries within that particular area. So you tend to learn so much as well about different things, not just about the law. And that's why I think I decided to pursue the degree. But yeah, if there's any questions later, it'll be good to answer that as well on why people want to do law. This is sort of more of a personal statement answer, but it'll be good to be more more general about it. But thank you.
Yeah, I mean, strangely enough, I completely have very similar reason to Elise here. So I was also a very keen MENA in my high school years. So I had the same toss-up between actually not economics, but I had the same toss-up between like architecture and international relations and law. And I eliminated architecture kind of earlier on because it was kind of more like a hobby for me rather than a continued interest. And so I was stuck between international relations and law, but apart from doing an ICJ, which like really that's where law seduced me. I mean, to kind of put it as a euphemism. But the other reason was that law was kind of like a wild card. Like it's kind of like a main profession, being a main profession, like you going in and learning that core academic knowledge, which you can then go and apply if your interests suit you in like, economics or international relations in my case. So I decided to study law because like it would offer like the core knowledge first, and then it would be much easier for me to specialize in international relations if I wanted to later on. And um, I'm glad I chose law because it realized that my interests did not lie in like public international law that much. Still international law, but private international law and arbitration in a sense which I'll definitely allude to in later questions. But yeah, I mean, so it was MUN in my like early high school years. I remember it was the ninth grade that I did one. First as an ICJ, and yeah, that was when I decided, and the MEN and main profession were the two main reasons.
Yeah, and so for me, I'm continuing off from what I said earlier, and in a very similar vein as Elise and Aryan and Leo, everyone else. I didn't always want to do law. It wasn't always something that I had been planning to do, but it was more that it was something that I realized that I was good at and I wanted to pursue. It sort of started mainly because I've like I said, I've always been, more attuned to humanities, so I'm far more comfortable with my writing skills, my speaking skills, my ability to create and craft things, rhetorically, argumentatively, creatively. And as much as, maybe back then I would have wanted to do a English literature degree, I realized that law was probably going to be a good place to put my skills into, especially, not just for because it was what I was good at, but also because it would be a very practical and, really useful course to learn. And at the same time, it also just stems from a sort of general sense from within me too. You know, I like to see things that are been wronged made right in a sort of corny way. And, I appreciate that law gives, a lot of students and people like us an avenue to do that because there are so many different routes you can take depending on the situation, depending on the case. And, you know, I think it's also fair to say that I wanted to do law because, like, I guess some people would, you might have grown up watching legal shows or legal movies. So I was a fan of those as a kid, and I guess I realized, I guess I could do that too. So
Yes, nice. I completely relate about the legal shows. Can't say it inspired me enough to do law, but yes, Suits is great, guys. Um, I think another question fitting for this similar vein that we're going on is why you picked your respective schools for law, given that the topic is UK law schools, and what were your other choices, in comparison? Yeah, Elise.
No, thanks, Elizabeth. I think I feel compelled to start this with like the Law and Order dun dun for every single question now. But I wasn't wholly set on definitely coming out to the UK. It was really interesting because for most of my life, I kind of envisioned myself going to the US for university because I knew that for me personally, my extracurricular profile was a lot more impressive than necessarily my purely academic profile. And I think it was just something that I had more exposure to. But the thing is, when it comes to law schools in the US, it's really hard to transfer out. I personally actually met somebody who got their JD from Harvard Law School, which, incredible. And she had been trying for years to try and find a way to move to Singapore as an expat with a legal job, and she just couldn't. Not because she wasn't good, but because the US kind of legal bubble is very distinct. And the thing about the UK one is it's a lot more internationally transferable since it's really kind of regarded as a template for most common law jurisdictions, and it hasn't kind of warped into a special thing in the same way that US law schools do. So I kind of wanted to mention that, not because I applied to the US, but as a bit of a word of caution as to why I didn't. I ended up applying to universities across 3 countries, and those were my options. I was applying in the tail end of the pandemic, so I ended up applying to a university in Singapore where I was living at the time, so I got into NUS. And then my other options, I applied back to Sydney, where I'm from, and I got a law and econ double degree offer from the University of Sydney as well as the University of New South Wales. And then when it came to the UK, I had offers between LSE, UCL, King's, and Edinburgh. So in the end, I went with LSE partly because of a reputation thing. As we can, yeah, we get the smile and nods. I think the rankings are always in the back of our heads somewhere, no matter what. And I do know that LSE has a very strong international reputation. But the other thing that I think I'll go into more in the next question, but it was really knowing about that kind of law in practice focus that the LSE has, and a very kind of vibrant array of extracurriculars that go to quite a high level that made me think, yeah, it's worth taking that leap and moving halfway across the world in a pandemic because it's the LSE and I like their program.
Elise, you made a really interesting point about America, and I think similar to that, I have a few friends studying law over there, doing the JD, and it takes time, right? It takes you 3 years doing a minor, then majoring into JD, and then going into being an attorney, and then that takes time, or being a solicitor within their firms, and it takes a lot of effort into that as well. And it's not sure that you. I mean, it's a huge process. Plus, jurisdictions have different laws in America, which is why I think coming internationally, UK, as you rightly mentioned, is a template for all the other jurisdictions when it comes to common law, especially India being a previous colony of the UK. A lot of the laws currently in India, even though it's a mixed jurisdiction between common and civil law, you would see that there is a lot of alignment and reflection of what the UK's current legal principles are. I wouldn't say the laws are similar now. There was the Indian Penal Code of 1861, which was done by Lord Macaulay before. But of course, that's changed into the CRPC. That's changed between different codes. And they do reflect their own principles now, depending on what. But she's right about the template. And the thing about, I personally was first intending to go and study law in India. So I was studying for the common law admission test for 2 years, which is the admission test for national universities in India, quite competitive as well. But I studied 2 years for it from my 11th until 12th. But then I also realized the opportunities international are a mass, in the sense that the areas of law offered by the firms are very limited in India. There are very limited opportunities because the number of people applying with the number of positions it's not proportional to the whole ratio there. But in the UK, you have the chance of applying to different opportunities, and you have like different doors of opportunities. Like for example, I'm working in a bank now, to be honest, and envision myself going into in-house in the bank later. But with that in mind, you wouldn't be able to do the same thing, or you wouldn't have the same similar opportunities in India. So just saying it from that perspective, the opportunities in the UK are a mass. There's a lot of opportunities. Why I did pick my law school, and I think I applied to Durham. I got an offer from Durham, Warwick, Bristol as my top three choices, and I made Bristol my firm, and I did Warwick as my insurance choice. Might completely be wrong, but might have changed the process. But I think there's something called the Law National Admission Test, the LNAT as well, which we needed to give as well. And I think Bristol was a really good one because the way they made me the offer seemed really good. And it's just the university in general. It's like the city is the university. So I mean, university, when you go to Bristol, you'll see a big building right in the center, and that's the university. So it's a really small city driven by students. And I just thought it's like good to be in a small city, like for me coming as an international student, which is why I made that choice. And frankly, it was the correct one, I'd say. I personally, even when I go to London nowadays, I feel like I'm a bit displaced, but it might not be the same for everyone. For me, I think Bristol was the one, and I did choose that.
Yeah, I mean, echoing the, abundance of opportunities, argument, I would, that led me to make a slightly different choice. I only applied to London universities. I applied to King's, UCL, and Queen Mary. I got offers from Queen Mary and King's, and I chose King's over Queen Mary because, first of all, the one in Queen Mary I applied was a 4-year program, and after having sat over my decisions, sat over deciding, I decided not to take a 4-year program because I felt the additional year wouldn't bring much additional benefit to balance the cost, even out the cost. So I chose King's, and I'm glad I did because it's in London. It's at the center of the action. There are many opportunities available to you, many extracurriculars as well, and especially King's has a reputation of being maybe not as academic as UCL is, but still very academic, and it has, for example, for European law and public law, it has the authors of the leading authorities are also lecturers at King. So that's a really great benefit to kind of get the core knowledge in. And it has reasonably good extracurriculars as well. So Law Society and the Bar and Mooting Society, especially the Bar and Mooting Society, especially for mooting, they have been consistently successful at Jessup, which I intend to do as well. So yeah, I mean, it was a combination of like being at the center of the action, so being at London, and then having a good academic base, as well as reasonably good extracurricular activities and opportunities at the university sponsors. So yeah, that's why I made my choice.
Yeah. So for me, I'm sort of just, you know, going on with the sort of same thread as everyone else here about looking for opportunities. Like I was not always intent on going to the UK. Same as Elise. I was very much not necessarily set on going to the US, but it was more I hadn't thought about going to the UK. And at the time, I also, wasn't very convinced of the fact of, whether or not I would go to an even greater school, because at the time I was also kind of not doing the best academically. But then, once I eventually managed to bring it all together and I really sat down and thought about it, and with the help of the people around me, um, I came to the conclusion of wanting to study in the UK, especially, not just for the opportunity, because, having come from, Southeast Asian countries, it's definitely a big thing to step out and then eventually go on and study, in the West. As beyond that and beyond my own like personal ambition, it was also just a better financial decision in terms of what my family could do, because especially having to study in the US because of the fees there, being so often insanely expensive. It was one of those things where all the factors pointed towards the UK. And once I, went through UCAS, had my choices there. Yeah, Durham was definitely one of the ones where it was a top choice, but I was not necessarily expecting to get it. I had Durham in there, I had Warwick, I had Bristol, and so to my surprise, I actually got offers from pretty much every school that I sent out to, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. But I did only really want to go to Durham. Uh, you know, Outside of the prestige, it was also the fact that I thought that Durham as a place seemed really lovely, and I thought that the course was really interesting. I felt that it would be a very much, in terms of just my livelihood over there, it's a marked change from the Philippines or Hong Kong, which tend to be, pretty densely packed cities. And then the UK, especially up in the north, is Durham is very much more of a smaller town, kind of like Bristol, except, with a little more green. And yeah, and it basically, my choices were not necessarily ones that I had, you know, foreseen, since the beginning. It wasn't something that I had always planned for, but it was more that as, you know, things came up and we took in all the factors, it was the one that made the most sense and aligned with, what I wanted to do, which I think is probably, the best combination and balance you can get when you're looking for where you want to go.
Great, thank you guys. This next question links to the previous question. So you guys have all mentioned why you picked your respective schools. And this next question is, what makes your school stand out for your course? So given now that you all have experienced your school, yeah, do you think like expectations matches reality? And yeah, why do you think your school stand out? Elise?
Absolutely. I think going into the law and practice focus of LSE, I would say that's absolutely what makes it stand out the most, especially for some there's like a much larger emphasis on the solicitor route as opposed to a barrister route. But it's a little bit of a corporate solicitor factory, really. When you go to the top vacation schemes and everything, you always see a bunch of LSE students. It's almost a meme at this point. I think we have like uni meme pages. This is just kind of everywhere. As like your stereotypical LSE student. And obviously those are overblown, but in terms of looking at the graduating class within the law school in any given year, you do have a very, very sizable proportion of students going into those top international law firms, Magic Circle law firms, and those like American firms as well. But I think, you know, to really kind of illustrate the point, there's a program of events called the Convene program, which basically brings in a bunch of different guest speakers around different topics throughout the year. So we've had like one of the European health, like the European Commissioner for Health came at some point. We got to hear from the head, like the CTO of Deloitte Legal, talking about, you know, upcoming changes within the legal profession due to legal tech. We had a LSE Law Summit conference for the first time this year with lots of really amazing speakers, and I was involved in that. I'll save that till the extracurricular point, but like it wasn't even just the chance to hear them speak, but like I ended up having a chat for like an hour with somebody that used to be one of Google's policy analysts and has now gone into a research institute so that he can talk about AI regulation a bit more openly. And so I think really kind of having that constant reflection of the most pertinent issues and trends in law as it relates to economics and as it relates to politics from people that are the top of their field is just a really incredible opportunity. On top of that, the law schools sought to really double down on that law and practice focus. And so we actually have a course that runs alongside our academic course of events where we essentially get these different sessions training us for different parts of commercial awareness, as well as developing advocacy skills, negotiation skills, stuff like that. So, you know, one of our first modules on that was legal tech, and it ended up being the CTO of Deloitte Legal, as well as like the head of Allen and Overy's Fuse incubator for legal tech companies, and actually hearing from the founders of a few of those companies that they're backing as well. So I would say that even though the LSE Law School isn't quite as academic as you would find in Oxford or Cambridge, I do really appreciate that the work that they do give us is super relevant to legal practice, and that there's so many opportunities to really see where legal expertise can take you in the world.
First of all, not to say anything to Durham, King's, LSE, great. We're all great. University, Bristol, we're all great. But from my side, I think it stands out to me that the law school from Bristol side, it was a bit academic along with doing your thing as well. So I really like that from my perspective, because I like independent study from me personally, and you know, it just works better that I was attending in-person lectures, in-person seminars, but I was also like looked after and taken, like I was doing independent study, and I was just looked after from the law school as well. And from another side, the good things that the law school does in terms of the law clinic, like I was part of the law clinic. Yes, it does get a bit competitive on there to get onto the law clinic. I think it's sponsored by Osborne Clark as well. And I think the good part of that is you just get to give back to society while you're at university as well. And I think I was advising on a few cases there. Few of the law clinic members got to represent in the employment tribunal or the human rights tribunal as well. So I mean, there are opportunities which Bristol provides you, which are really unique when it comes to your law clinic opportunities, when it comes to opportunities like mooting, because I went to Jessup myself, ex-Jessuper, ex-KK Luthra. So I went to 2 international moots while I was at university. And I mean, it's just been amazing, the opportunities which Bristol provided me personally. I wouldn't make it stand out in front of all the other universities, because I think everyone does a great job in how they teach and how they give us education. But I just say that the societies are amazing. The Law Society, Bar Society, alternative side. It also has a really good Indian society. So it really helped me, carry on with my culture along with my education. So those are the things you would really want to look at when you're choosing law schools. Like, does it also have that cultural aspect along with the education? Does it also like allow me to celebrate my festivals, which I did at home, along with what I'm studying? So it's not just about that mooting, you going out doing those pro bono stuff, but it's all you being able to celebrate your culture as well, as long as you're studying. So that's what I'll say makes my university sort of good. And yeah, and to be honest, everyone's a good uni in UK with law. But just make sure you consider your education side and your culture side.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just echo what the others said. I mean, so I mentioned previously that King's is like a, you know, academic university. Well, I would like to qualify that point actually. So I think it offers a good balance between, having that, really strong academics and having a, good presence in extracurriculars as well. It has the law society, so we have lots of negotiation and commercial awareness competitions that are sponsored by firms as well. In many instances, such as Norton Rose Fulbright, Eversham Sunderland, and Herbert Smith Freehills. Also has the Mooting Society, which is yes, it is for people more interested in going to the bar, but especially at mooting, it's like a common skill that sparring solicitors must have in order to especially if one tends to go into split resolution such as myself. So it has really good mooting opportunities as well. And this goes for the same as for intervarsity competitions. There are a lot of so we had an intervarsity competition with LSE, UCL, and Queen Mary joining for negotiation. So there's a negotiation competition, as well as a I don't know if there's an intervarsity moot as well. But yeah, I mean, in terms of international competitions, Kings is very, very, has had profound success in just in the last 5 years. I think the team has advanced to the international rounds for the last 4 years consecutively, which is great. And yeah, apart from that, I would say, I would just echo what the others said. I mean, it is, as Arjen said, like all the universities try, successfully, have a, good academic foundation as well as the, extracurriculars. So yeah, I would totally echo that. But for, Kings is, kind of like a special point, I would say, you know, it is very strong on European law. So yeah, it has the I guess only if I'm not mistaken, it has the only center for European law among all UK universities, which has been going on for more than 25 years, and it has leading authorities there as well as lecturers. So if anyone is any prospective student is interested in EU law and kind of like the EU aspect, it offers a great academic foundation as well as many dual degrees. It has a Spanish English law degree, Spanish German, Spanish French law degree. So yeah, it is particularly like kind of like a particular benefit. It is very strong on European law. So yeah.
Yeah. For me, with Durham, I think that a couple of things help make it stand out. I think that one of the things is that they're the qualifying law degree subjects. So things like contract law and criminal law, constitutional law, they're actually completed in our first and second year. So that leaves opportunity in our second and our third year to have or choose modules that are not necessarily part of the qualifying law degree. And you could also choose to not do those subjects as well in the first place, and in which case you would have a non-qualifying law degree, which is both are equally valid paths to take. And there's a whole array of different subjects within Durham. There's things beyond just criminal law, like that branches off into advanced criminal law, and then you have EU law, ECHR law, and for me in particular, I'm doing things like family law, intellectual property. I have friends who are doing revenue, pensions. So, there's a really wide variety of different things to go through. And you'll definitely go to Durham and not feel like, I think you would find it rare to see someone who feels like there's not a course there that they're at least somewhat interested in. And, much like the other unis that have, all of the lovely panelists have talked about here, Durham also has a very vibrant and diverse set of extracurriculars. The Law Society is very much active and thriving, and beyond the Law Society, there are 100 million other law-related societies. So beyond that, there's a lot of different choices that you can make. Pro bono societies, bar societies, mooting, depending on what kind of lawyer you want to be, whether you want to be a solicitor, a barrister, or maybe you don't even want to do either of those things. Maybe you want to go into compliance. There's always something there for the, prospective student. So.
Yeah, thanks, Jaime, for talking about the societies, because that links very well to my next question, which is what societies are available in your school and which do you join? So this could be sports. I know Aryan is very sporty, but also law related, or I don't know, cultural societies that you guys join. Yeah, please.
All right. I think as you'd know, Elizabeth, there's a lot of different extracurricular societies at LSE. Almost too many. But I think that's really more the thing of there's a lot of people that really are go-getters and want to be doing things with their time. And so it can be quite overwhelming choosing what you want to get involved with. But whatever it is that you do choose in terms of societies, if you're proactive about it, there's almost always going to be a way that you can really make that experience your own and get the most from that experience. In terms of the extracurriculars that I got involved in, the main, when I first came here, I was involved in the Australian New Zealand Society and the Singapore Society as two kind of cultural ones that I was in. So as part of the SingSoc junior committee, just helping to plan parties really, but that was sponsored by the society, so we got to have a little Halloween party with the Singaporeans in in the student union building, and then the other one was that I was treasurer of the Australian and New Zealand Society, which in practice ended up being largely similar in terms of just coordinating events, but just also needing to keep an eye on the budget and the financing of it in a way that I didn't need to for the SingSoc. And then besides that, the kind of more, the extracurriculars of mine that came with more time commitment and to an extent prestige, I get. One was a opportunity within the Law Society. So we have a law review publication, which I feel like it's a little bit of a niche for law outside of besides other careers. But I think to kind of summarize, when you come to common law systems like the UK, the law is constantly evolving, not just through you know, statute passed by Parliament in any given act, but actually when you have a look at different cases, no matter what country you're in, you will be seeing this, is that the way that the law is applied and doctrines in the application of law actually are evolving all of the time through different judgments that you're getting from different cases. And so with that in mind, academia has a special relevance to the legal profession in a way that you don't really see in a lot of other really kind of purely humanities focused based industries, as far as I'm aware anyway. Anyone else, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But that said, I ended up becoming a junior articles editor on the Law Review. So there were like 3 of us that got recruited for it, and we basically got to go and see the grown-ups in 2nd year, 3rd year, and the masters students actually vetting these submissions that were coming into the academic journal. And you basically give substantive feedback and do a markup of every single submission that comes in. And then once a week, we'd have like meetings to basically see what we're allowing through to the next round of review or not. And that's a society that I've then stuck through with for the rest of my time at the LSE. I really, really love it. There's like great community between us all. Like, yes, it's a lot of work, but also you meet fantastic students, and there is a lot of camaraderie. Like, fact checking is probably the worst part of the job, but I remember we had like a fact checking session right before our right before the publication of our latest issue. And you know, when that fact checking delirium kicked in, we had one editor kind of serenading the rest of us with various covers of songs and a Kermit the Frog voice. And it's just little moments like that that, like, I don't know, it really brightens things up. And I think it kind of helps to know that you can work hard and play hard at the same time. And it's maybe not as scary and foreboding as it might seem from the outside. The other activity I got hugely involved with in 1st year was my participation in something called the London Blockchain Labs. So when I joined LBL in 1st year, it was a joint society between LSE, Imperial, and UCL. It was quite decentralized in terms of, I was there as part of the events and education committee at first. So for me, that largely comprised, you know, helping to organize events across the different campuses. And then, you know, with the legal and regulatory interest, also doing some research on that, doing some presentations about the regulatory and legal factors that people within the blockchain industry would need to know in terms of how they structured their products and their startups. And then kind of besides that, I got the opportunity to jump in on a consulting project in partnership with one of the Oxford blockchain societies. And so it's like a group of, I think, probably 8 of us working with this external company, which was really awesome. Then kind of going through from that, I did stick with them, and I ended up getting a leadership position with them in the next year, where I was part of their executive team. When I was there, I basically brought KCL on board. So it grew from LSE UCL Imperial to LSE UCL Imperial and King's. And some of the main contributions I made, well, I ended up partnering with a VC firm to design a consulting competition where we made the question together, and people had to do a like written submission, but the prize for first place was like £500 cash and a month-long VC internship. So that was pretty cool. And then besides that as well, again, really more those kind of events focused things, research, really trying to make sure we're all on the same page. And then besides that, something that I've been more involved in more recently has also been the Artificial Intelligence Society. My involvement with them was partly to facilitate their collaboration with our new Law Summit conference that ran in March. But as part of that, I led a research project, which we actually published online fully yesterday, about the impact of AI on law and the legal profession. So if anyone's interested in checking that out, if you go onto the LSE AI Society's LinkedIn page, you'll be able to find that full report there and skip to the parts you find interesting. It's got lots of kind of professional insight and everything in there too. And I think that's probably the main extracurriculars I've been involved in thus far.
I think Elise pretty much covered it, all the societies there. From our side, from my side, it was let's say I was a very keen first year student. I think all of us law students are really keen in our first year. We join all the societies out there. We think everything's interesting, and I like that, I like that, I like that. So I was pretty much like that. Really enthusiastic. I mean, not that I'm not now, but really enthusiastic back then. And I think I joined everything law related society in first year. Like, I think except the Women in Law Society, I joined the European Law Students Association, which is the ELSA. I joined, there's Unity and Diversity in Law, which is really interesting in Bristol. There's the Environment and Energy Law Society, which is your everything related to sustainability, your energy, your environment. So law related to ESG as well. So they covered huge webinars and moots. So there was environmental law moot as well, which was really nice. Then like others like Bar Society, I was hugely involved with Bar Society. I left that society because I lost the presidential elections, uh, which was not really nice. And I think I was involved a lot with the Law Society as an international student, like giving inputs and how they could improve and everything. But I think there are those law societies which I really got involved with. Mostly all of them, I covered it there. And yeah, it was really interesting, to be honest, in my first year, because it just helps you get an idea of what events everyone's doing, networking with everybody, other law students, because I was really keen to know everyone out there. Because I know one event I went to and I met one person from America, one person from some part of Europe, and it was just so good to see everyone coming together, because Bristol does have a really international sphere. I think all of the universities are representatives here. Like, there's a huge like international sphere to all our universities. So law societies, there were a mass. From second year, it started getting a bit niche because I lost a few elections, won a few, and lost a few. So it got to just the law society and the bar, and I think the alternative dispute resolution society, which covers your arbitration, your conciliation, mediation, etc. And from there, I also became the president from a cultural side of the Indian society. So you can, there's the cultural society side. So there's Indian, Sri Lankan, Singaporean, Malaysian, and Singaporean societies which you can join. So depending on what heritage you're from, there's those cultural side of the universities which you can join. I became president of the Indian society, so I used to share a really good relation with other cultural societies and academic societies. So it was really good. Bristol Students' Union is a really good students' union, because you get to sort of socialize with the other presidents and vice presidents, and it just helps in terms of building your network at university as well, along with doing good things for fellow colleagues and students. And just lastly, I'd say if you're going forward and wanting to join a society in first year, no one's sure. Like, you might not find the society which is meant for you. It's fine. You'll find it in second year, so don't worry about that. And in terms of extracurriculars, I think I did a lot of mooting. I went to 2 international moots, as I already mentioned. Jessup was really interesting. It was in the Inner Temple, in person, thankfully, not affected by COVID. And yeah, we faced Oxford, Cambridge, like name the universities, we faced all of them. We didn't unfortunately go to America, but we did do well, I'd say, because we were I think first time in 3-4 years we were representing the university. And I did the law clinic, as I said. So those were pretty much what I did and what I joined, but there's loads more out there, and do choose what floats your boat and what you like, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, echoing the others, I mean, in first year, like people, including myself, tend to be very, proactive in terms of society they join. So like they join, they try to, present themselves, get some recognition in, but to widen their circles, get more knowledge in, and obviously for shilling yourself to firms, selling yourself to firms. Yeah, I mean, myself, I did the Law Society and the Bar Mooting Society. And in terms of sport, I did the Tennis Society. So for Law Society, I did couple negotiation competitions. which were sponsored by them. One was sponsored by Huddersfield Freehills, and unfortunately, I couldn't reach the finals in any of them. But I mean, they still were a valuable experience to kind of get that practical skill of negotiating in like with clients in in one's future career. And I also did join other negotiation competitions as well, which were not sponsored by the Law Society. So in King's we have a separate negotiation society. Other universities also have them, and King's we have it as well. So I did two of the negotiation competitions. I did the one which was internal, which was also an IP slash IT societies collaboration going on there. So I did that one, and I did the inaugural British Universities negotiation competition, which was kicked off this year by I believe it's King's LSE. Yeah, pretty much every university in the UK. So I did that one as well. And as for mooting, I did how many moots? I did three moots. Yeah, I did three moots. So I did the Public International Law one, which was co-hosted by the Public International Law Society. I did the International Arbitration Moot, which were both bar mooting societies, sponsorship going on. And I also did one non-bar mooting societies moot, which was an environmental law slash public international law one. And yeah, I mean, I got to the finals in that one, so that was a nice experience. And I mean, apart from that, I did tennis, which is you can either join the teams or you can do it as a hobby, like kind of weekly practice sessions. I did the weekly practice sessions because frankly I didn't, although I played tennis for a while quite intensively during my final 2 years, prior to university, I didn't decide the audition. So I just instead played for hobby, which is a nice experience. You just, let that weekly stress out once or twice per week, depending on one's schedule. So yeah, I mean, apart from that, I mean, I believe I'm the youngest here in terms of progression in terms of law school. So I mean, I have many things unexplored. So I may not be in the best position to kind of give a brief overview about the societies. But I mean, echoing Ian, I kind of narrowed down my interests a little bit now that I'm set on something. I'm trying to show commitment to a specific area of law now, instead of kind of being a jack of all trades but a master of none. That common euphemism, common saying goes. So yeah, I mean, I'm planning to audition for Jessup and WIS, both of them, to see which one comes through. I'll take my chances. And apart from that, as part of my interest in arbitration, I know this is not university, but like to just show the variety of opportunities. So for arbitration, I became a student member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, and I did their course, which will hopefully, if I get it, supplement my optional module selection, which is arbitration as well. And apart from that, I applied to the King's undergraduate. So we have an undergraduate research fellowship scheme where undergraduates get the opportunity to, over the summer, participate in one of niche areas of study. So for example, this year we have for the law school studies about international public policy considerations and the jurisprudence of the CJU, the project which I applied to. We have projects about arbitration. We have projects about contract law, criminal law. So it's a good opportunity to get some in-depth specialized knowledge in, and some projects do offer direct collaborations with law firms as well. So that's a great plus. So I'm awaiting my result from that. But other than that, yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm awaiting many things, and I have much to do ahead in my second year. So yeah.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to societies, you know, I of course went to various law society related events and various law societies in general. I participated in mooting in my first year, which was very fun, even if it was quite stressful. And going to all the necessary like kind of career fairs and things like that, and uh, you know all those different things, while at the same time juggling my academic commitments, was quite and has been still, quite, the hassle. But at the same time, it's, something that is ultimately necessary, and it is good. It is good to go to these kinds of events. And outside of the law societies, I also participate pretty heavily with my university's Filipino Society. I'm the social secretary there, and in my second year and my first year, I participated in my college's international society, because Durham is a collegiate university. So beyond just the uni-wide societies, there are also different college societies. So in my first and second years, that's where I spent some of my time in. And throughout my 3 years, I've also been fairly active in sports, mainly Taekwondo, which in my third year, I managed to get onto the university's Bucks squad. So Bucks is in, the British University competition and sports. I don't know if that's the right acronym, but yeah, basically traveling around the UK. So, we've been to Nottingham, we've been to previous teams have been to places like Cardiff and things like that. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And what's less fun is obviously getting injured, but it's still ultimately a very fun experience at the end of the day. And it's nice to have that balance of the societies that are geared more towards your career or your course, and then at the same time there's also the societies that are directed towards maybe your other passions or your other hobbies. So yeah.
Great, thanks, guys. Yeah, I really like your answers. You guys provided a lot of detail in them. Unfortunately, we are at the end of our time together. But I would like to say a huge thank you to all our panelists for spending the time with us today and giving us wonderful insight into UK law schools. The viewers, I'm sure, enjoyed it just as much as I did, and I think we can all agree that you guys did a really good job at providing some really good information that hopefully will help our viewers guide their decision making and their next steps. So once again, if you need any help with university and career guidance, you can check out our website and Instagram, and you can also contact the panelists via LinkedIn to get help with any questions you may have. Okay, that's that to wrap up. Thank you so much once again, and have a great rest of the day.